let's turn to what has been the story of the past couple of days, at least. And that is Bronny James getting drafted by the Lakers with the 55th pick yesterday. And now LeBron James, who is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, viewed by many as the second best player ever. Some view him as the greatest player ever. I've long said, Shaun, that like my generation controls the discussion right now. And we, for the most part, my generation says it's Michael Jordan. Now, the generation before me does not necessarily say it's Jordan. Most of them say
Kareem.
They don't know. I think most just kind of are like, well, there's no GOAT. You know, I mean, I'm talking about hearing Oscar Robertson and great legends of the past. They kind of just say, well, there is no greatest. Everybody's been great. You know, the superstars and this and that. But some do say Kareem. And I just feel like, and I've said this for a long time, it's possible. I used to think it was very like almost a done deal. And then the last dance really swayed a lot of the young people to Jordan's side. But, you know, the things LeBron has done lately by becoming the all-time leading scorer, by playing so well into his 39th year and probably 40th year, I think has swayed some people, at least the young people, to his side. So I do feel like it's very possible when the Rob G's of the world, his people his age, the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, the teenagers right now, when they're controlling the narrative, they may very well, LeBron James may be viewed widely as the GOAT. Because right now you would say Jordan is widely viewed as the GOAT. But when they're controlling the narrative, I think it could be LeBron. You disagree?
See, I don't think it's fair to give the Gen Zs like that pass, because there's enough visual evidence of Jordan to, if you're objective when you're comparing the two, to say he's different. LeBron's good, really good, but okay, I've finally seen these Jordan highlights. I watched a couple, but he's different. Now, if you want to go past Jordan, it's not as much film available on Kareem and Oscar Robertson and, you know, trying to see how good the Bill Russell Celtics were. So I get maybe not have that correlation, but I don't give anybody a pass. Like, LeBron's a baller.
Where are you at on that, Rob G?
On the fact that,
I mean, you don't think it'll do you have LeBron second to Jordan?
Yes.
So yeah, about like your generation and younger, do you think what I said, when they're controlling the narrative, like instead of my generation, the Nick Wright aged people,
sure,
and younger and all that LeBron will be viewed as the GOAT the way Jordan is right now, kind of almost universally?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's because we're already seeing it take place in the NBA and in college. Because when they ask these guys who's the best player, who's the GOAT, oh, it's LeBron James. Some guys are even saying Paul George. You know, some guys are saying they're saying Kobe, right? Because that's who they grew up watching. That's who they idolized. So the way that people use the GOAT conversation now, it's not necessarily, oh, this is actually the greatest player. It's, this is who I believe this is my GOAT.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous.
And that's where that's where the conversation's going.
But when people say that, they need to be silent.
Yeah, it's a cop-out.
No, and be like, look, that's cool. That's your favorite player. But we're not talking about your favorite player. The question on the table is, who is the greatest player ever? And it ain't Paul George. Okay? You can have him as your favorite player, but you better pick somebody else for the GOAT. Who is it? But the point we wanted to get to, Shaun, is, and LeBron tweeted out a great picture of him and Bronny when Bronny was, I don't know how old, maybe 5, 6 years old, if not younger. And LeBron was playing with the Cavaliers. His first go
That was a dope picture. Bronny had the braids.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. The cornrows and all that. And LeBron tweeted out or put on Instagram the word legacy. And I want to ask you, because we know LeBron's legacy is going to be multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think will be the first thing that comes to mind when people think of LeBron James 20, 25 years from now? Like, and I'll give you some examples. Michael Jordan, I just think people think, honestly, I feel like people think GOAT. Like, I really think that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind.
Absolutely.
With Michael Jordan is GOAT. I think Dr. J, it's, kind of brought the street game and all the high-flying moves and everything to the NBA. Muhammad Ali, I think it's standing up courageously and unashamedly for black people and his views in general, like Vietnam. Even though as great as he was in the ring, I think that might be the first thing people think of. Rob G, we were talking about this earlier. I'm trying to think of some of the other people we were talking about.
We mentioned Bill Russell and the 11 championships.
Bill Russell, you think 11 rings. Will Chamberlain, I think the first thing might be for Will Chamberlain, 100 points in a game or average 50, or his assault, just the outlandish records he put up that'll never be touched again. But with LeBron, there's a lot to choose from. And it could even be something off the court. But what do you think will be like that first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the name LeBron James?
I think it's going to be Mogul. I think it's going to be Mogul. I think LeBron is the Jay-Z of sports. Like, you can make an argument that Jay was the dopest rapper alive in the late 90s, early 2000s. Right. But you could also argue that there was some other gifted, lyricists that people thought were better. What you can't argue is that no one has transitioned from entertainment to business as well as Jay-Z has.
No doubt.
And I see that same pathway for LeBron. I think the one platform where he's going to be standing higher than Michael Jordan when this is all said and done, I think Jordan's going to be more successful as an executive and eventually an owner.
You mean LeBron?
I mean LeBron. I think LeBron's going to be more successful than MJ post-career. And when it comes to the game of basketball and success as the leader of an organization. And I think that ultimately, as time continues to move further and further away from his last shot, that's where, in my opinion, he could potentially catch MJ.
Well,
if Vegas gets an NBA team and Bron's part of the ownership group or he's the GM, and
I think
3 years,
he'll be owner.
I
think he'll be owner.
And 2-3 years after inception of the team, they're playing for a West or Eastern Conference Finals, and LeBron's sitting there looking brilliant, looking like Jerry Westish or something. I think that could elevate him in some ways, because that's the one thing that Jordan's really never been able to do is get the Hornets consistently competitive.
Yeah, and look, LeBron has done more than Michael Jordan off the court. A lot of people wanted Jordan to speak up more about racial issues and things like that, and he didn't. He's done a lot since he's retired. I mean, just becoming an African-American owner of a major sports league team is progress, moving the race forward, and it's impressive. He built a medical facility, obviously, in North Carolina. So he's done some things, but he waited until he was done playing. LeBron has done tremendous things and been outspoken while he's playing. So I think that obviously he has that on Jordan. I don't think any of this affects the GOAT conversation, but I think you make a great point. It might be Mogul, because I think within that Mogul definition of LeBron James comes.
He's done movies. He's
starting the school.
He's produced albums. He's got a school.
I don't even think the movies and albums are, because his movies haven't been like tremendous. They like Jordan's, Space Jam was better than LeBron's Space Jam. I mean, I don't know that the movies. I think,
and I'm talking on the production side.
I was gonna say like him putting Maverick Carter and Rich Paul in positions to become moguls in their own right,
and they've elevated to best in the business in their spaces.
Right, and I think that is part of his legacy. I think the player empowerment that he sparked can go into the mogul department. And then even the school can go into the mogul department. Like you said, if he becomes an owner of a team and so on and so forth. So that could be it.
I mean, you think Jay's got Tata and Emery, LeBron's got Maverick and Rich. It matches.
Well, Jay-Z, I mean, him being like, remember early in LeBron's career, he was a protege of Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm. And he learned well.
So he definitely learned a lot from Jay-Z. And I think that's a good comparison. And I think post-career, LeBron's going to do amazing things.
I do too.
But I also wonder if one of the first things could be he played with his son. Like, he was the first basketball player ever to play with his son. And some people might think, come on, all he's done, this is going to be. But this is so unique. And I don't know if it'll depend on Bronny becoming a really good player or what, or maybe I'm wrong. But I just wonder if that could be because that is something he's done that no one has ever done.
They're going to have some moments. Like, just think about this for a second. Make yourself a director of a feature film, and it's an autobiography, and you're doing the LeBron James story. What better way to culminate all of this extended greatness than to be able to write into the script some game? It might be the mid-season championship like they won this past season. And Bronny and Bron play a prominent role. And you get the picture of them in the locker room.
3 years from now?
Hey, listen, Bronny's going to get
You're a little more optimistic
Bronny
about
is going
Bronny
to get into some games this year.
Yeah, he's going to get in the – I mean, and I like Bronny, and I think he's going to be a serviceable NBA player at some point. But – I don't think he's playing a significant role this season. I think he's going to get in blowouts when they're blowing. The Lakers are blowing somebody out. Mm-hmm. That's when he and LeBron could be on the floor together.
If Bronny throws an alley-oop to LeBron James in an NBA regular season game this season, that highlight will be
vice versa.
Replayed for decades.
Right. No, something like that could happen.
Put yourself in the director's shoes, Chris. It could be the other way around.
It could be the other way around.
Right, what better ending? If we're doing his autobiography, like if we're doing a movie based on LeBron's life, what better potential ending than him and his son on the court, same time, NBA, real game?
It's awesome.
That's big time.
There's no doubt. But he's got so many moments.
But that's the big joker. No matter what table.
That's why I'm saying.
Right, no matter what table.
Saying that might be the thing we think of first. I'm with you.
It might.
That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know.
Be Jordan.
That might be the first thing we think of him playing. He was the first player to play with his son.
Absolutely, and that's like having a little joker. So if and by that I mean no matter who he's sitting at the table with outside of Jordan, he's got the little joker. I don't care if it's Magic, if it's Bird, if it's Shaq, any of them. He pulls out that card.
These are different arguments, though.
Right, and the only reason
when I talk GOAT, it's basketball GOAT. I'm talking on the court. I'm not talking about all the
I'm talking stuff. On the court too, Chris. We're talking the fellas at the picnic, the NBA basketball top 100 picnic. He can say, I won as many championships as almost everybody here. I was so good, I played long enough to play with my son. The only joker that's bigger than his is Michael could reach in his pocket and pull out the 6 rings.
Well, again, to me, those are two different conversations. I mean, because some of that's on Bronny being good enough. And yes, that's a credit to LeBron's developing him to some degree. But some of that's on Bronny was just better than Michael Jordan's son at basketball. You know what I mean? It's not all on the basketball player.